Activity-based management means using activity-based costing information to make smarter managerial decisions. Key areas where activity-based management might be useful include pricing products, determining the optimal product mix, and value engineering. Let's take a look at each. There are two basic ways that firms can set their product prices: target pricing and cost-based pricing. Target pricing is used by firms that operate in very competitive markets, so it's actually the market that sets the selling price. The firm starts with the target price, over which it has no control, and subtracts out its desired profit. The difference is the firm's target cost, that is, the maximum cost that the firm can incur to make the product. By contrast, firms that make unique products, so they don't really have many competitors, can use cost-based pricing, where the firm gets to set the selling price. The firm starts with the full cost to make the product and adds its desired profit to get that selling price. In parts 1 and 2 of this chapter, we found that XYZ would have a different understanding of how much it costs to make a basic unit or a deluxe unit, depending on whether the firm chose to use a plant-wide rate or departmental rates or activity-based costing to allocate its overhead. Now let's say that XYZ wants a $10 markup on cost. If the firm chooses the single plant-wide overhead allocation rate, that means it would be selling its basic units for just over $58 each, and it would be selling its deluxe units for a little bit more than $115 each. If the firm chose departmental rates, it would be selling its basic units for $51 each, and its deluxe units for a little bit more than $133 each. And if the firm chose activity-based costing, it would be selling its basic units for a little bit more than $49 each, and its deluxe units for almost $138 each. But which of these product prices are correct? Let's say that XYZ chose to use the single plant-wide rate, whereas its competitors, who know a little bit more about managerial accounting, chose to use activity-based costing. That means that XYZ will be trying to sell its basic units for about $58 each, whereas its competitors will be selling similar units for just over $49 each. So what's going to happen? The competitors' units will sell and XYZ's more expensive units won't sell. At the same time, XYZ will be selling its deluxe units for a bit more than $115 each, while the competitors are selling their similar units for almost $138 each. XYZ's deluxe units will fly off the shelves because they're a bargain compared to the more expensive but similar competitors' units. But if activity-based costing really gives firms in this industry a better sense of how much it costs to make a deluxe unit, XYZ won't make a dime because its $115.60 selling price doesn't even cover the actual cost to make a deluxe unit. Anytime a firm finds itself in this situation where one of its products is overpriced in the market and isn't selling well, and another product is underpriced in the market and is selling great, but the firm can't turn a profit, it's a sure sign that the firm's costing system is not giving the firm an accurate sense of how much it really costs them to make both products. Another area where activity-based management can be very useful is in determining the optimal product mix, the right combination of various products that the firm should offer for sale. XYZ uses the same machines to make its basic and deluxe products. If the machine time is unlimited, then the firm should make as many of both products as it thinks it can sell. That way, the firm can earn all of the available profit from both products. But what if the machine time is limited? In that case, the firm should compute the amount of profit that it would earn per machine hour, and it should concentrate first on making whichever product has the higher profit per machine hour, and make the other product only with any leftover machine time. We will explore this issue more in a later chapter. Non-value added costs increase the firm's cost to provide its products or services to customers, but don't actually increase their products or services' value to the customers. For example, you've probably never bought a product because the firm spent a lot of money on storing inventory or moving things around the factory or setting up machines. All you care about is whether the product functions the way you want it to and is sold for a price that you think is reasonable. The goal of value engineering is to look for ways to reduce non-value added costs without impairing the quality of the products or services that the firm provides. The problem with traditional costing is that it uses a single overhead cost pool. So, for example, XYZ knows that it had over $2 million in overhead costs, but that doesn't give the firm any hints about where those costs came from or how they might reduce some of them. By contrast, activity-based costing shows the activities that cause overhead costs to come into existence. For example, XYZ determined that it costs $30 of machining overhead for each machine hour that a product spends in the assembly department. Maybe there's nothing that the firm can do about that amount. Or maybe that signals that it's time for the firm to consider investing in more efficient machinery. It currently costs XYZ $900 of setup costs for each hour that's spent setting up machines in the assembly department. Perhaps the firm could change its production schedule so that it would require fewer setups. The firm currently spends $3,000 per batch just to move stuff around the factory. Maybe that's a signal to the firm that it should look for ways to move its storage of raw materials and finished goods closer to the production floor, or to move the machinery so that partly finished goods don't have to be moved so much during production. Alternatively, maybe XYZ should consider making larger batches. The firm is currently spending $5 of allocated inspecting and packing overhead for each labor hour. Maybe if the firm had more confidence in its production process, it wouldn't have to spend so much checking the products for defects. And the firm is currently spending $1,320 of shipping overhead for each shipment. Maybe the firm could offer an incentive for its customers to place larger orders so that it could reduce the number of shipments. You can't control costs that you can't see. Activity-based management makes these overhead costs visible so that smart managers can look for ways to reduce these costs without impairing the quality of the products to the customers. Based on this discussion, a firm could use activity-based costing information for which of these decisions? That's right. The firm could use activity-based costing to help make all of these decisions. This is the end of this section.